which we don't have a sample for, is what we call basswood. Basswood is a wood that basically has no grain. It is just about as plain and straight as can be. And we generally find this mostly in Vermont. People say it smells. It has an odor to it. Kevin said he can smell it. I can't. Go ahead, Kevin. Talk about it.
Well, it's kind of like American cedar, and I think it has a similar smell to cedar. And they used it in the cabinet making as a bug deterrent. And it does have that, to me, almost a little bit like a musty old drawer smell, but a little sweeter, a little bit, not as kind of earthy as cedar, but it's kind of this sweet, kind of pungent smell, where if I was a bug, I would go the other way too. So yeah, stick your head in.
Maybe you can smell it. I can't.
And I like to say, antiques is one of those things where we like to use all 5 of our senses. Still working on taste, but trying to like a piece of furniture. And when Arthur and I bought this nice little table, we thought, wow, that's an interesting piece of Vermont furniture. There's a new book on Vermont furniture that just came out that has similar inlay design that we find on the drawer front. But at one point we were looking at it with a scholar, a person from the museum, and they said, geez, did you know there was writing on the inside? He said, oh, well, look at that. On the inside of the drawer sides, there's very fine pencil inscription. And one of the new toys we've been using here around the shop is an infrared camera. And so we took some pictures with the infrared camera. There's some prints that Arthur's showing now. And it clearly says on one of the drawer sides, it makes the inscription pop right out, and it says Little Falls. And that's in New York, right over Lake Champlain. So it's probably a cabinet maker that either saw the design in Vermont or was a journeyman working in Vermont and then moved to New York State. So it's really an interesting bit of history.
So this is one of the more recent acquisitions we've had within the last 3 or 4 months. And it's truly remarkable. It's very exciting. We've never seen anything like it. And I showed it to a couple of cabinet makers, and they haven't either. It basically has a bird's eye frame, bird's eye maple frame. And you can see it, and some of it is solid, some of it is actually veneered. But then, on the end, it's figured maple, like what we call, and a lot of people call pearly maple. But then, when you turn it another corner, it becomes bird's eye maple. So it's like the little bird's eyes are the tips of the figure of the pearl. And I've never seen that. Kevin's never seen it. And 2 cabinet makers we showed it to have never seen it, and I showed it to a few other dealers. Nobody's ever seen that. So it depends on how it was cut that identifies the bird's eye and the pearl in one leg, one piece of wood. So that's...
and I think one of the reasons to me that you don't see it very often is that bird's eye was so valuable that you see it more in veneers and less in solid pieces of furniture. How many veneers could you make out of one of these legs? If you cut that into veneers, you could have made 8 tables with bird's eye maple veneer on the legs and get the same effect, well, similar effect, because it wouldn't have the curl. And you can actually follow the little bird, the eye and the curls goes right through. So I think it's interesting that this cabinet maker kind of sacrificed that veneer potential for multiple veneers to use it as an effect in the solid one.
It's really amazingly cool table. Excuse me? Yeah, I just took it out so we could display it.
And again, in the drawer front is solid bird's eye maple. which you could make, 10 veneered bird's eye maple drawers if you cut it into veneer. Yeah, really a great little thing. Probably made in the North Shore, Massachusetts area.